Okay, so what is good, everyone? Welcome back. I'm NLG. Today we're going to be discussing a build that I would absolutely never play. But I've been informed by hordes of people on Reddit and in my YouTube comments, man, for some reason, they really want to know, and they want to let me know that they want to play support Demonology to its fullest extent. And that means sacrificing absolutely every stat in order to have the biggest raid buff go out for your raid through Demonic Pact. So today we're going to be looking at your Phase 1 BIS gear and discussing how much extra spell power that you're going to be getting or giving to your raid in comparison. So first things first, let's look at your professions. So your professions are going to be jewel crafting and tailoring. Reason being is that your tailoring is going to give you your light weave embroidery enchant. This is going to give you the highest stackable buff that stacks with your trinkets and whatnot. And it's going to take the entire 295 spell power for your Demonic Pact. For jewel crafting, your jewel crafting is actually going to be the highest amount of spell power for Phase 1. This is assuming we don't get epic gems. We most likely won't. If we end up getting epic gems, then jewel crafting may not be the best. I can't remember the exact math. But yeah, that is your two professions that are going to be BIS. Just starting from the top. Your BIS helmet is going to be tier 7. So this is actually not the best helmet stat-wise that you could possibly get. But it is going to be the best combination of gear to still retain your 4-piece. So if you're reading where it says the 4-piece there, it says casting life tap grants you an additional 300 spirit for 10 seconds. That is, for a Demonology Warlock, that's about 150 spell power, maybe 180, something like that. It's just going to be 0.6 times 300. I think that's 180, actually. But point being is that 180 spell power is also going to go into your Demonic Pact, so you're definitely going to want your 4-piece. There's absolutely no way that just stacking a bunch of 226 item level items are going to compare to an extra 180 spell power from your 4-piece. So just moving on, the enchant that you're going to use is the 30 spell power 20 crit. This is from Corinne Tor rep in Dalaran. There's nothing else that's going to give more spell power. If you look at the meta gem, that is going to be your Ember Skyflare Diamond. This is a highly controversial item because you're losing a massive amount of your own damage by going this meta gem. But you're gaining a lot for your raid. So, I mean, it's up to you how much of these things that you want to incorporate into your demonology support. So if you're reading from where my cursor is, it says requires at least 3 red gems. This is going to enable you to go entirely full red gem in every single slot, regardless of the socket bonuses. And then simultaneously, it's giving you 25 spell power. The alternative to this is going to be, I'll just show you real quick. The alternative is going to be 21 crit and 3% increased crit damage. Now, that is incredibly important to your actual individual damage, but it's just worse when it comes to buffing your raid. Anyway, so moving on, you're going to put a 19 spell power in that socket. The other sockets, I'm just going to briefly say you're just going to put 19 spell power, and then you're going to put in your 3 jewel crafting gems. So I'm not going to talk too much about gems. This is your necklace. So this is going to be out of Malygos, from Malygos 10-man. Again, this item is substantially worse than your normal pre-raid BIS. But it's got the most spell power. You're going to get an extra 10 spell power individually, and aka 1 or 2, 1.5 extra spell power for your raid, I think. But yeah, moving on. So your shoulder slot's going to be your tier. Again, 19 spell power gem in there, and then the Sons of Hodir rep shoulder enchant. Here's another big change. For your cloak, you're actually going to be using, instead of Pennant Cloak, you're going to be using Cape of the Unworthy Wizard. This is from Kel'Thuzad. This is not a highly contested item, so that is one good aspect to this. But yeah, it's just got more spell power than your Pennant Cloak, even with a gem in the Pennant Cloak. And then you're going to have your tailoring light weave embroidery, like I said earlier. For your chest, you're going to have tier 7. This is going to be, so the 66 spirit's going to give you 0.6 of that in spell power. So I can't quick math that, but it's going to be good. And then you're also going to have your 4-piece necessity being met. So the 15 spirit is going to be your best enchant regardless. It's going to give you the most spell power as well. 10 stats is not better than 15 spirit, especially when you're talking raw spell power as well. You're going to get way more out of the spirit. So in your chest, you just put in 2 red gems. These bracers are not going to change from normal BIS. This is Unsullied Cuffs. This is from Obsidian Sanctum, 25 man, at least 2 drakes up. This is going to be your BIS. You put in a fat red gem in there. You're still going to use Turning Tide. One of the closest weapons is Haunting Call. That weapon actually has Spirit on it, but because Turning Tide is a 226 item level, it just kind of outweighs it, even spell power wise. And then you're going to put Mighty spell power on it, which again isn't changing from normal. So your offhand is going to be Matriarch Spawn. It has a ton of Spirit. It's got a ton of spell power. It's going to give your raid the most amount of spell power. Here is a big change is, again, you're not running engineering. Again, I don't recommend this at all. But, that's another 28 spell power. That is another 3 spell power for your entire raid. Every single caster, every single healer in your group is going to get an extra 3 spell power. All this stuff is adding up. And I will break down exactly how much at the end. So yeah, 28 spell power enchant. Instead of the engineering rocket, or hyper speed glove enchant, the haste enchant, you're going to have 28 spell power, and then you're going to have a 19 spell power gem in there. So again, this belt is from Malygos 25. This is Leash of whatever. Put a fat red gem in there. It's got Spirit on it. It's got a lot of spell power, a lot of raw spell power, and then it's got the same belt buckle socket that you can put in there. This is a big change on your legs. This is going to be Leggings of Mortal Arrogance. This is from Kel'Thuzad, 25 man. Another not contested item because it's really not that good. But it has 2 sockets, a ton of Spirit, and a ton of spell power. Again, that Spirit's going to give you a ton of extra spell power over something like the Malygos 25 legs. And then it's got 2 sockets in there, so you can stuff in more spell power. Nothing else compares to this. It's also the highest item level for phase 1. Next item is going to be the Arcanic Tramplers. This is also from Malygos 25, but it's a BOE. So if you're a rich boy, you can go pick this up. The boot enchant is going to be your 18 Spirit. Again, Spirit is going to give you this. I can actually do this math. This is going to give you 12 extra spell power. So if you're comparing that to engineering, that's another 1 to 1.5, or technically 1.2 spell power for your raid. So yeah, go ahead and run 18 Spirit on your boots if you want. Anyway, continuing on with the actual items. So you're gonna go with the Band of Channeled Magic. This is from 25 Valor badges at the badge vendor. This should be really easy to get. This is a staple item. But this is where it changes. So you're gonna go Lost Jewel instead of the KT25 ring. So Lost Jewel is gonna have way more spell power, as well as more the Spirit. The Spirit's gonna give you a ton more spell power. The KT ring in place of the Spirit is going to have haste rating. So again, haste rating isn't going to increase your demonic pact. And then these last 2 trinkets are going to be Dying Curse. This is also from Nax 25. This is going to give you the biggest spell power proc. And again, all this is just stacking up with your demonic pact, the proc on there, that is. And this is your other trinket. This is a massive change. Usually you would go Lu. You would go... I would imagine there's some other trinket that I can't think of right now. But Sundial is going to give you that second proc that is going out to your raid. So I would say even in a normal demo BIS list, I would say this is still better. Tons of people will not agree with me there. But anyway, moving on. This is going to be your wand. Again, we don't care about hit cap. We're not even at hit cap, but we're going to go ahead and run this KT 10-man wand. To go back to these two trinkets, though. Dying Curse is going to be at a max 25. Drops off of several bosses in there. It's highly contested, but it does have a potential to drop a lot. And then this is going to be 40 emblems of heroism. Very easy to acquire this trinket. And then last item is going to be off of Kel'Thuzad 10-man. As you can see, it has a lot of spell power, a lot of spirit. Okay, so if you're looking at the raw stats, you can see, again, this is unbuffed. There's a lot of stuff missing from this formula. But we're just going to go off of raw stats and how this 80 Upgrades website is stating it. So you're going to have 789 spirit and then 2103 spell power. Okay, so now that we've looked at the entire Demonology full on support, highest demonic pact buff potential, we've looked at the raw stats. Let's look at what I would recommend a normal Demonology BIS list would be, and compare that to that previous build. So right here, if you're looking, it is 568 spirit. That's going to be about 200 spirit less. And then you also have another 102 raw spell power less. So if you're doing the math over here, what is that? 789 minus 568. Just going to do the math quick. So 133 and then 2103. 132.6. Okay, so that is 254 extra spell power. Pretty sure I did that math right. That means that if you do times 0.1, that is how much extra doing this build where you go jewel crafting, you go all sorts of different items that I explained earlier that gimp your own DPS, but this is how much extra spell power your entire raid is getting, is 25 in comparison to the normal demo BIS. The only caveat to that would be that if you were to go Ilu in place of this, so Ilu, at that point you would go ahead and you would take off another 59 spell power from that demonic pact buff. I don't recommend that. Or sorry, not 59, but 39 spell power. That's also assuming that you're able to pre-stack this. I would imagine that you can, but we are assuming that. Okay, so now that we've looked at both builds and kind of how they differ, I want to touch on, and I know that some of you demo mains are already fucking fuming, but I want to talk about some of the things that I would actually incorporate into my own. If I was playing Demonology and I was the only Demonology Warlock in my raid, I would accept that my role is to contribute a big spell power proc to my raid. However, there is another side to that coin. There are things that are so minuscule when it comes to buffing your raid that your own personal damage will lead to more raid support than some of these things. So I want to talk about those. So first things first that stands out is your hit rating is substantially lower. I would never run with hit rating this low. The number that you're actually aiming for is 289, which is about 120 lower 130 lower than what this is currently showing. So the thing that I would do about that, I would definitely go ahead and swap out your necklace at the very least. I would definitely have the Worm Rest 226 item. Not only is the item level going to be higher, so it's not such an awful trade-off, but it's got a ton of hit rating. Would I run perfect hit cap? Maybe not. You know, if I'm really trying to push my my raids demonic pact, I probably will go under hit cap. And when it comes to actual BIS legs, I don't think I would go with the KT, or I don't think that I would go with the Malygos legs. I think I would go with KT legs. And I even think that going, and I know that you're under 80 hit cap. Let me show you the actual legs. So the comparison is these legs versus these legs. I think that going, 60, 70 under hit rating, it's going to be annoying to play. It's going to impact your own damage, but it's not as important on a Demonology Warlock that you hit all your spells. It's not like affliction, where if you miss haunt, you're super fucked. You can just cast another corruption. You can just cast another immolate. But yeah, I would say that these legs are a big enough discrepancy between the Malygos legs to warrant wearing and going under hit cap in place of that. Some other things. So I would personally, I would go this cloak. I would go with the KT25 cloak. But I would not go with, I wouldn't go with jewel crafting. I think jewel crafting is way too grief. I think that engineering is substantially more important. Especially when it comes to later on content. It's not just tier 7. But even, when it comes to early ulduar, which you would still be wearing tier 7 BIS, you're going to want engineering. The rest of the game, you're going to want engineering. So I would go ahead, I would just drop jewel crafting. I would run with tailoring and engineering instead. But another common argument is the sundial versus Elu argument. I don't think that you deserve Elu as a Demonology Warlock. I think that even if you can't line this up, let's say you don't have an elemental shaman to fill the gap between your pet AFK weaving, I think that you would always run this trinket, even in the off chance that you fuck it up and it kind of it's not going to be able to be combined with everything else in your demonic pact. I think you still run this trinket. I don't think that not only is Elu not substantially more damage, but just the off chance of having your entire raid get an extra 39 spell power versus your own Elu. I would never run anything except 2 proc trinkets as demo. The meta gem. This meta gem is, I wouldn't run it. It's you're losing substantial, like the way that your talents work when it comes to ruin in the destro tree. Let me go ahead and show it. The way that your talents work, this isn't just a 3% crit damage buff. It's a little bit more when it comes to using your chaotic skyflare diamond in its place. So I would not run this meta gem. I would run the chaotic skyflare gem, and then I would try and find 2 spots where I can put 2 blue gems, or purple gems rather. So maybe here, and then maybe in the Malygos neck that I would use instead. Again, I want to reiterate, I would not run this. I think this is taking it way too far, but just to keep the topic light, to keep it fun, and even what I think people will actually do. I think people will run this. I think people will play this way. I think they will run under hit cap. I think that they will run the absolute best spell power proc that they possibly can, and I think that their own damage, that they'll find a way to manage their own gimped damage. Okay, so I want to go over this clip again. This is in one of my previous videos, but this is basically demonstrating that you can get a massive demonic pack for your group, and how important pet weaving is. But as you can see here, I don't actually show most of my gear, but in basically with a few raid buffs, this isn't completely raid buffed. I'm still missing out on stuff like Flame Tongue Totem from a Shaman, probably some other stamina buffs and stuff that would buff my pet. I know that my pet was unbuffed in this pull, but just looking at my stats, my raw stats compared to like the actual 80 upgrades, what's showing, as you can see, it's substantially higher spell power. And I am under hit cap here, so I am playing with Sundial instead of Alu. I'm playing with some random legs. Okay, so right here, this is the actual demonstration. I note everything in the actual video, but I'll just do it again here. So I get the life tap buff. That's also up here on the top right side. I get my Sundial pre-procced. Not ideal, but whatever. Get my Blood Fury going, get my Tailoring Cloak going. And then I use my Wild Magic Potion. Again, this isn't the perfect opener, but this is just demonstrating. If you look here and you're watching my spell power, you can see absolutely every spell power proc is going. So if you compare that, so this is 5,800 spell power. That means the entire raid is going to get 587 spell power. Now, if you were to compare that to the gear set that I linked before, I would imagine that you could probably get at least another 300 or 400 spell power added onto this if you were in an actual raid environment. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm getting my 650 spell power actual proc. Okay, so that is the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. This was a very interesting video to make. I'm sure it'll get a lot of hate, but I actually enjoyed making it. But yeah, if you guys like the content, feel free to sub. I'm going to have a ton of Affliction Warlock stuff, especially. Tons of different raid, boss guides, and whatnot. As far as the channel, I'll probably have like emotes and stuff pretty soon. I haven't looked too much into it, but one thing that I did unlock recently was these super thanks. So if you guys want to give me like $2, $5, whatever, it's greatly appreciated. And yeah, it's just a little button under the video. So yeah, thanks for watching and have a good one.